At this point, our CSS is getting a little bit long, and we're having to do a lot of scrolling to go back and forth between our HTML and our CSS. So this is usually an indicator that it's a good time to separate out our CSS into a separate file. This will also help us see the final factor when it comes to determining hierarchy in CSS selectors. So again, let's find a good example online so you know where to go to later when you want to figure this out again. I'm going to open up a new browser tab and I'll do include CSS file. Okay, so it looks like we have a couple of examples. This HTML link tag looks like a good source. I'll click on that and we can see here that we're using a link tag. It's one of those void elements that we talked about earlier that don't need an ending tag. So let's take this, we'll just copy this example, jump over to our editor and we'll paste it in our head underneath our title here. And I'm going to set the name of this file to styles. It's generic, but it will work until we have a more specific name for this file. And then I'm going to go back to our file explorer, and I'm going to create a new file called styles.css right here. I'll open this up in my editor, and I'll take all of the styles that are in our index.html file, but we don't need the style tag, and I will cut this out, jump back over to our CSS file, paste it in, and save it. And then we can go back to index.html and remove this empty style tag, and we'll save this. Now, if we jump back to the browser and look at our example and refresh, you shouldn't see any changes. If you do see your styles disappear, it's probably because either the CSS file was not named properly or it's in the wrong location. So having our CSS in an external file affords us a couple of different possibilities. One is that as our CSS becomes more complicated, we can split it up into several different CSS files and just include them with this link tag. As you add additional style sheets, they fall under the same hierarchical rules as the styles themselves. So the style sheets, or CSS files, that you add near the bottom will take precedence over the selectors in the style sheets near the top. Also, it's going to make it easier to navigate between our CSS and our HTML. And third, we can now use Chrome to edit this CSS file directly. Let me show you how that works.